I want to introduce Christopher Breedlove. Christopher Breedlove is the program manager of Burners Without Borders, and he gave a really great presentation last year about theme camps doing great work in the world, and he's here to tell us a little more about that and how you can get involved. Does that sound good? Leveling up, right?
Awesome. Thank you.
Up.
Hey, guys. Awesome to see you all. You all are super inspiring people. It's really awesome to spend this weekend with you. This is going to be kind of a quick presentation. Basically, I'm going to go over actually a little bit of the information that I talked about last year, and I'm going to present a new idea that's come from a lot of the conversations I've had with you guys over the years. So anyways, theme camps in the world, you guys are ambassadors of culture more than just in Black Rock City. If you don't know what Burners Without Borders is, real quick, in 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast while Burning Man was going on. And a bunch of burners decided to go down to New Orleans, and they spent 9 months and did over $1 million worth of demolition work for free as a gift to the local community. And it was kind of like this big aha moment where all of a sudden a bunch of people in our community started to realize that all of the skills that it takes to build big art, to build theme camps, all of this is actually a lot of the same skills it takes to go and do work out in the world. And so we came back from that experience with this mission statement, which is Burners Without Borders unlocks the creativity of local communities to solve problems that bring about meaningful change. And one of the things that we've been realizing over the years is that theme camps are actually really great partners in this. And so why are theme camps in the world? So you guys are owners of infrastructure, and like really, really good infrastructure too. Honestly, if it was the end of the world, you know who I want to be hanging out with? Theme camps. You guys have power, you have water, you have structures, you have vehicles, you have all the stuff. You're already communities of resiliency. You guys are decentralized. You're working with volunteers. You have your own communication structures. You guys are the model for how, again, future communities can work. And then again, you guys are prototyping the future of what our culture looks like. So real quick, I'm not going to go through like the big stories of these, but I just want to call a couple out. Who is in the world? Comfort and Joy. Comfort and Joy is doing two things that I know of and probably more, but they're throwing fundraisers throughout the year, and every fundraiser they do, they're donating to local organizations. Not only that, but they're also been doing a food drive for the Paiutes for over 10 years now, which is really amazing. If you guys know Ideate, Ideate has helped start 2 different projects. They have a camp-wide compost project, which if you guys aren't a part of, you totally should be, because it's how you can get your compost off of Playa and make sure it goes to where it needs to. But also 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago now, they started to do a carbon offset program with Black Rock Labs. And so if you guys want to add a $3.80 addition to your camp fees, you can start to offset the carbon cost of your camp itself. Now, is carbon offsets a complete solution to the problem? Absolutely not. But is it part of the solution? Definitely. And this camp is pioneering that solution for us. Just as a regional example, these guys from the UK, they're part of Nowhere in Spain. Ubertown started going to this refugee camp in Calais and started using their build team to build refugee houses with their build teams, which I think is a really awesome example. The Foamy Homies, as I like to call them, or Foam Camp, because their name keeps on changing, they've been doing disaster kitchens for the last 2 years. So they've been in Florida as well as North Carolina. And I don't know all of the numbers on what they've been doing, but I know in this instance, they were able to serve over 100,000 meals to a town called Immokalee in need, which is amazing. And I didn't say it, but they used their Black Rock City kitchen to do it, which I think is one of the really amazing things. Red Lightning a couple years ago went out to Standing Rock. Red Lightning brought out their dome and a few teepees, and I think even more importantly, a power system that used wind and solar. And so they were able to go out there, and they spent somewhere between 6 to 9 months out there, and were able to create a community center in the camp, particularly so that people who wanted to talk about winterization had a safe place to go to that was warm and had power. That's a really amazing use of theme camp infrastructure. Yeah. Give them a hand. So again, I only know pieces of the story because I haven't been intimately involved in all these projects, but both Mayan Warrior and Maxa showed up in the Mexican earthquake. Not only did they bring a whole bunch of shift pods down for people to live in who'd lost their homes, but they also were a big part of a resource distribution center in Mexico City. And what I love about the story that I've heard about that is when I've talked to some of the people who were volunteering with them, they were like, the earthquake hit, all of us started to get on WhatsApp, we started to talk to one another, and all of a sudden they're like, wow, half the people on this phone call are burners, right? And it's because we know how to activate in a crisis, and I think that's a really amazing example. So a couple years ago, again, 2 years ago, after the hurricanes, Camp Epic called me and said, hey, we want to bring our container housing down to Florida. We had a conversation, and it was like, oh, man, how much it costs to move that down to Florida? That's not really worth it. But then 3 to 4 weeks later, all of a sudden, the fires erupted up north. And so we partnered with them, and we brought out a couple containers to ideally house 80 people up there. The project didn't fully work, but what happened is we were able to really look at what mobilizing this infrastructure would look like, and now all the containers that they're building actually have windows in them, so in the future, not only are these containers safer for them, but they could be used in a disaster context in the future. And I think it's really important to say that we're all a prototyping culture. If we're really trying new things, that doesn't mean every experiment we're going to do works. We have to actually celebrate the prototype, because that's how we learn, and that's how we're all going to move forward together. All right, so how can we do more of this? That was kind of the question I came to the Theme Camp Symposium with last year. I was like, all right, I'm seeing all these examples, I'm seeing how it works. How can we start to imagine what theme camps and regional interplay can look like? And then we had an experience this year with the fires up in Paradise that kind of opened my eyes. I was out in New York City, and my friend Justin, who runs a non-for-profit that delivers food in disaster zones, called me and said, hey, I'm at a food shelf. Their refrigeration is broke. He's like, they're going to be delivering food here in 2 days. Their contractor's MIA. We don't know if he's in the fire or what. You know burners. Can we get a reefer truck up there? And so I was in New York. I put a post on the TCO list. Within 2 hours, this guy named Barrett from Mayan Warrior called me and said, we have a reefer truck. Where do you need it and when? Right? And so that's the reefer truck right there up in Paradise that for several months has been cooling the food that's been delivered out to the local people who live there. And it's like, wow, how amazing is that? And again, it's this amazing example of we all have this infrastructure, and it's sitting around the country and the world, and it's not being used for probably 10 or more months a year. So again, what can we do? So we're going to be launching this new program that we're calling Resource Partners, and we'd invite you all to be part of it. So we just launched this new page on our website. You can go and you can read the details, but the idea is we want theme camps, art cars, anyone with infrastructure in this community to opt in to being part of this new network. The idea is you can fill out a form and you can tell us what type of infrastructure you have and where. And then what we're going to do is we're going to populate a resource map that's available to high-level stakeholders in our community. And so as disasters happen, as social impact projects happen, as people have ideas, we're going to be able to look at where that project is, and then we're going to be able to look at what infrastructure is where in the world and start to make matching partnerships around that. So that's the idea. I'm not going to take any more time. Those are some of the amazing examples. This is the idea. And I guess the last thing, oh, wait, actually, I want to say 2 more things. Yeah, so anyways, what I want to say is BWB, I constantly talk about, is just like Black Rock City, right? It's like if none of you showed up to Black Rock City, it'd be pretty lame, And if none of you joined the network of Burners Without Borders, it's going to be pretty lame. Because really what we are is a facilitation and support network for all of you connecting together to do great work out in the world. So this is really a call for us to develop a new relationship so we can know who you are and what you want to do. So I just also want to say, you can also create your own project, and we're here to support you. And so you can go to our website, it explains it all. And sometimes when I do these things, I just want to like end by saying, I talk a lot about big projects, right? Because big projects are inspiring and they're fun to talk about. And just as an example, this is a big project out of Chicago where these burners, it's called Idiate, and for the last 10 years, they've been running the world's largest mobile food drive with over 4,000 people, and they're all in costumes, and they run around, and they get drunk, and they raise $100,000 for local food drives doing it. That's amazing. It's super, super amazing. But if that's all I'm talking about, we're missing the point. Because small projects are where it's at too. A lot of projects that happen in the BWB network are also 3 to 5 friends getting together, working on a local farm, repairing a building, fixing a neighbor's home. And so like, don't think just because your idea isn't this grand level that it's not like for the network. It actually is, and the more small projects we have, the more inspiring it is for all of us to get together. And honestly, I don't believe there's ever gonna be enough non-for-profits or government programs in the world to fix what's going on. And so it's up to us as everyday citizens to look around our own communities and say, hey, that's not right, I'm gonna fix it. And I think that's the real call. So just connect with us. We'd love to talk with you. We'd love to get you in this new network. It's going to be an experiment. So like, please, if you want, jump in with us. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. You can always email us at bwb@burningman.org. And if you want to see the theme camp stuff, it's burnerswithoutborders.org/themecamp. Thanks, guys.